Right, how's it going? My name is James Avey, and this is an introduction welcome video for our online section of HRM 381. We've got the Canvas page up, and we're going to go through it, making sure we kind of all understand how the class is going to go, what's expected, what tools we need, how to contact me, stuff like that. So what I'll do here, maybe introduce myself just a little bit. We'll go over the syllabus, what the class is going to be like, what the pace and the sequence is going to be like, and then I'll flip over to modules. I'm assuming a lot of folks have probably already explored Canvas a little bit, but we'll flip over to modules and go through the course content. So kick it off. My name is James. I've been at Central since 2007 and kind of back to Central. So my undergraduate degree was in business administration in this topic in HR. I left there. It's a great degree. I think it's number 6 right now for the top jobs in the nation in terms of pay and jobs needed is human resource management. A lot of jobs out there that was at that time as well. So I went right to work at Boeing and worked in HR, and it was a blast. Absolutely, I loved it. Got to hang out with some really cool people, got to learn a ton. And after several years there, I left. I didn't get laid off. There was a lot of layoffs, but I left and went to the University of Nebraska for my PhD. And if you haven't been to Nebraska, that's okay. And if you get a chance to go to Nebraska, go ahead and pass on that. Go like Hawaii or someplace instead. There's not a lot there except football. Go Big Red. And a great program for what's called organizational behavior, which is really the theory underlying a lot of what we do in HR. Nebraska was awesome. Graduated there, came back in 2007, and been here ever since. And frankly, don't plan to go anywhere else. I love Central as long as they'll have me. Married, 4 kids. They're a lot of fun. They're a lot of work. And yes, I use HR tricks on them all the time to get them to do what I want. So that's a little about me. So what else? The class is it's an intro level class. It's a survey class. I think I heard a guy describe the class once as basically a dump truck of Legos, meaning there is a ton of information and we go through it pretty quick, and each of them kind of build on each other. But it's a lot. And the idea is at the end of this course, you have a general idea of like what an HR person does, how they add value to the firm, what do they do in terms of risk management, what kind of skills do they need to have, and almost like how to think. I watched one of my favorite trilogies, the Jason Bourne trilogies. I think it was the last one, maybe Bourne Ultimatum. He's talking with this guy, this psychologist at the end, and the psychologist, he's having a flashback, and the guy goes, Jason, will you give yourself to this program? Because you're going to be totally different when it's done. It's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of seeing stuff. And that's kind of like any particular academic discipline. You just look through a different lens afterward. The idea in this class is not to totally immerse you, but to expose you to all the different facets of HR. If it is your major, you're going to get in depth later on. If it's a minor, you get some depth as well. Or if you end up going on after this, don't love your field you're in, whatever, you go to the graduate certificate in HR because you want to, get a job, go out right away and do that. That's where the specialization comes in. But for this specifically, this is like general exposure to all of HR. And it's a blast. It is fully online. There's some tools you need. We'll talk about that as we go through. So with the syllabus, that's me. It's my email. It's my phone number. That phone number is set up to ring straight through to my cell phone. So that's the best way to get a hold of me if you're in a pinch, tech problem during a test, something like that. My office is Shaw 332. I'm generally there, but like I said, just call me. Even when I'm on campus, I'm hanging out with students in the circ or doing something in meetings. So call me is probably the best, or email is fine. Mission statement, learning goals, they're all incredibly beautiful pieces of literature. Encourage you to read them if you'd like to. If not, we will scroll down and get right to the sequence. So first week, intro in the class, which is what we're doing right now. And you're going to want to read through chapter 1. So let me back up for a minute. If you're the kind of person you say, man, give me the bottom line. Like I've got 4 classes or whatever it is, and I just need to know, what do I have to do for this class? There are really 2 main parts of this class. One of them is the course content and quizzes. There's 6 quizzes. And the other one is what's called quick response papers, where I give you 48 hours in a topic, and you got to turn around and get it back to me in a paper. There's 3 of those. So if you think about like main chunks, just kind of planning out your work statement, prepared to absorb the content. You can get that through lectures, through reading, podcasts, whatever. There's all kinds of methods I'll cover. There's extra readings if there's something that you're into. You don't have to, of course. So that's how you get the course content, and then you take a quiz on that course content. So if you're the kind of person that you can just read a textbook, which is required for the class, Mathis and Jackson, if you're the kind of person that can just read a textbook and get it, then don't tell anyone, because everyone's mad at you right now, because that's really hard to do generally. But the textbook is a source of information in this class. Lectures are a source of information in this class. Additional readings I assign are another source, and then finally there's me. You can just call me up and be like, hey man, I just got this job offer. Here's the details, here's the benefits. I don't understand. What do they want for stock options, stuff like that, and I can help you. So I might be kind of a fourth source. So that's just kind of getting content. So week 1, you want to get the content from the syllabus, of course, from Canvas, go through it and make sure you understand the class. Ask me with any questions. I taught this class a ton, so it should be relatively bulletproof at this point. But if you find something, we'll certainly deal with it. And then chapter 1 is just kind of get you ready. Like, what does an HR person do? You go through that. We'll start our assignments the second week. You have chapters 2 and 3. At the end of that, you have a quiz that's due on Friday at midnight. And then the next week, week 3, you've got a quick response paper due Friday at midnight. That's kind of the theme. Take that and cut and paste it a couple times, and that's the whole class. You get the course material, you take the quiz by Friday at midnight, then the following week, good chance you're going to have a quick response paper by Friday at midnight. You get the topic on a Wednesday, it'll release on Canvas. You have 48 hours, all the guidelines are there about size and number of pages and how I want you to address the question. There's a rubric in the syllabus that shows how I'll grade it, stuff like that. And that's due Friday at midnight in the form of an upload. So let me pause for a minute and talk about both quizzes and the papers. So with the quizzes, you're going to have 2 tools. One of them is Respondus Lockdown Browser, and the other one is Respondus Monitor. And both of these are to ensure the integrity of the process. Respondus Lockdown Browser, I've had already a couple emails that are like, hey, like, where do I buy this thing? You don't buy it. At least I don't think you have to buy it. I think it's part of Canvas. It's a free download. If you have trouble with that, call the tech center. And what that does is it makes it so whatever's in front of you in the browser, the test that you're taking, you can't click off of that. So that's to prevent someone from, going to Google or whatever, searching it, something like that. So it's all in one place. If you click off of it, it shuts down the test, gives you 0, etc. You get the idea. So that's just like sit down, do the test. That's the purpose of the browser. The second one is Respondus Monitor. You'll need a webcam for that. Webcams are $15-20. They shouldn't kill you. And you set it up, and it'll do a couple things. It'll walk you through it, and you'll do an environmental scan. It'll show you like where you're taking the test to make sure there isn't, your textbook sitting around or another computer open or something like that. And then it uses some pretty crazy artificial intelligence to learn how you take tests. I am not sitting there watching you take the test. It looks at your eyes, where your eyes are going, or your body shifts. If somebody walks through in the background, it'll shut down, so you need to be in a private place. And the idea is it's just you, your brain, and that browser, and that's it. If something goes sideways on that, it flags me, sends me an email like, hey, go check out, minute 12, 30 seconds and watch it. So those are the 2 tools to kind of help with the validity or the integrity of the process. You'll do that. You'll do those for the tests. And then on the paper, when you submit them, it's a few pages. It's not a killer paper. It's just to expose you to some things in HR. You'll want to submit it, and you'll submit it through what's called the Turnitin. That's just checking for plagiarism, stuff like that. Again, having to do with the integrity of the process. Submit it in terms of I prefer like Microsoft Word if you can do that. I think I've limited the file types. You can do a PDF if you'd like to. But you just upload them to Canvas. Nothing super complex. Let's say you're this person and you're terrified of Canvas. You want to print off the paper and you want to put it in my hands. Sweet. Meet you at Starbucks. Meet you on campus. Whatever. That's totally fine. However you want to do that. Pretty flexible. Week 4, we have the quiz over chapters 4 and 5. Week 5, you can see on here no assignments, so a little bit of a chill week. Moving on, week 6, next quiz. Like I said, it's cut and paste. Week 7, quick response paper. Week 8, another quiz. Week 7, another response paper. So basically, with a couple exceptions, there's pretty much something to do every week by Friday at midnight. The test is open all day Friday. You have 2 full days, 3 full days, whatever it is. I have to take a look. I think it's Wednesday through Friday. It's 3 days to do the quick response paper. So in your head, you be thinking like, okay, every week after I submit it, there's something due in 7 days, all the way to the very end. The final quiz, quiz 6, is over chapters 15, which is about individual employee rights and responsibilities, and a quiz 16, which is on unions or collective bargaining. So that'll be our final quiz. We'll do that during finals week. You have to kind of wait for the schedule to be released, but chances are it'll be on Tuesday, if we can, of finals week. So that's the schedule. Let me roll through it here. You can see the major assignments. They're all described. Quick response papers. Here's the rubric I'm looking for. So if let me go up here. So if you want to summarize the topic, whatever it is that I give to you, I give you 3 topics. You want to summarize it well and accurately, and get all the major aspects. Don't miss anything. You want to build an argument, whatever your argument is. It's not necessarily persuasive, but there's like compare and contrast, or how should companies deal with whatever it is, illegal weed and drug tests, something like that. You can kind of get your point of view in there, but you want to state your propositions clearly. You want to defend them. I should be able to look at it and just see kind of a chain of arguments that leads me to a rational conclusion, which is whatever your conclusion is. And the last part, I'm not super stoked about grading grammar and spelling, so just make sure you do a good job on that. You can see failing, average, excellent across the board here. And sources. This is maybe where some people get a little tripped up. I'm sure that your ideas are great, and I hope you think my ideas are great, but my ideas carry weight when I can cite research, like good research, randomly assigned empirical research, good journals, peer review, stuff like that. The stuff that makes us go, yeah, that's probably true because of the citation. If I come up with a good argument, you might say, hey, that's a good argument, James. Do you have any sources to back that up? Because it adds validity. You're going to want to use sources and good sources. Don't paste in Newsweek or Forbes or even Wall Street Journal and maybe like kind of okay, but you want solid scientific sources to back up what you're saying. If you don't know how to do that, I can point you to some places in the library. That needs to be an APA format, and that's, as you can see, that's a big chunk of how I'm going to evaluate it. Like, your arguments are great. Were they backed up? Was there a logical, rational foundation that you built your arguments on? Let's see, extra credit, if you want to do that, let me know. You can join Sherm. I think for a professional, it's like 180 bucks a year. For a student, I think it's 35 or 40 bucks a year. Just gives you access to a ton of Sherm stuff. If you're an HR major, you're going to do that eventually anyway. You might as well do it while it's cheap. HR minor, probably the same thing. If you're going to come back and do the HR grad certificate, because a lot of good jobs and high-paying jobs, then you're probably going to do it anyway. So you might as well do it now while it's cheap, but totally up to you. It's optional. You can also attend Sherm meetings. A lot of these happen here in Ellensburg, but there's Sherms in Seattle and Tacoma and Bellingham, across the I-5 corridor there. So just research it and say, hey, maybe there's this Seattle Sherm event at the Hilton on Tuesday. Kind of extra credit for going to that. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say yes, unless there's something crazy about it. The points, 900 points total. The grading will be based on the percentage. It's really complex. 6 quizzes, 600 points. 3 papers, 300 points. See how I did that? Yeah, pretty simple math. There's a grading scale. That's what we've adopted for all the college business. Should be no surprise there. Yeah. So let's flip over to modules really quick, and that'll give you a little bit more of an idea. This is where you're gonna spend most of your time here. So under modules, it says module 1, quiz number 1, and these are the 3 chapters that we're doing: introduction, HR strategy, and EEO. I say highly recommended. That means everything in this box before extended learning, this is all really important. This is like the course content. You have lectures here of me teaching other classes. You have PowerPoints, kind of from the book, but I've customed it to, these are the ones that I use in my lecture. Go, yeah, I like that, or I don't agree with that, or whatever it is. So those are my PowerPoints, and those are my lectures. This will be the primary way in which you get the course content in addition to the book. Again, studying the books, I know it's a pain in the neck sometimes. but that's where it's going to be in a lot more detail. What I usually do in lectures is talk about stuff that excites me, that I'm passionate about, and that I think is relevant to an undergraduate or graduate student heading out. So at the end of each of these modules, here it says Module 1, Quiz 1, you'll see something that says Extended Learning. This is for the geek, and I mean the really good student in the class. No, it's like if you find something you go, man, like that's interesting to me. I'd like to learn more about that. Either I like it or I disagree with it or whatever it is. Chances are there's a lot of stuff in here. If you're a current HR employee, HR professional, which I know a lot of those folks end up taking my class online because they're out and about working, you'll find a lot of practical tools in here as well for different forms you're filling out, or I-9 audits, or affirmative action plans, or whatever. So that's extended stuff. If you're like, hey man, I'm a construction management major, all I really need to know is there is an HR person who is out there somewhere and this is how they think. Great. You probably don't need to read each one of these, or maybe even any of them, unless you really want to. If you're an HR major, you got the time, you can do it. It's going to be helpful for you. Module 2, same thing. It's the next 3 chapters. If I say highly recommended, what that means is that's how you get the course content. That's how you do well on the quizzes and the quick response papers. You've got, again, PowerPoints and then lectures on it, PowerPoints, lectures on it, and then some extended learning. All the way down, it's a cut and paste. It's a very rational, simple format, all the way down to module number 6. Same thing. The main chapter PowerPoints I lecture from, some lectures, and they're not going to line up. I should tell you this. The lectures are me doing different classes over the years. You can see some of them I'm a little bit fatter and a little bit skinnier. So they're the ones that go, yeah, like that right there. In my view of it, I hit what really needed to be hit, and that's what these are. So you see 1, 2, 3. That just means it was probably an hour and a half long, and I broke it up into smaller files. But those will be all kind of the same day. And at the end, the very bottom, HR additional, optional, optimal materials. Stuff if you want to go through it. If you're trying to build a social media policy for your company, can you as an employee go on Facebook and just trash your boss? And then if he fires you, is that illegal or not illegal, whatever. So stuff like that is in here. So yeah, everything is in modules, 6 modules, 6 quizzes. Pretty logical. You saw the course calendar. I think from here, I'd probably recommend watching this video a few times, at least twice, so you can get it. I've been told that I speak fast and sometimes go down little rabbit holes. But if you have questions afterward, just get a hold of me. Go into Canvas, download the Respondus Lockdown browser. When we get to the first quiz, you're going to test Respondus Monitor. I'll be sitting in front of my phone because I know somebody's going to call me and say, it's broken. We'll get it fixed. If it's a tech issue like that, realistically, I'm going to tell you to call tech support anyway. There isn't a ton that I can do if we're not co-located. And let's say that you just freaking hate online classes and you got stuck in this class and you don't want to do it. You can come in my office and take the quizzes. I don't care. I'll schedule a classroom, whatever. That's not a big deal. If you want to put the paper in my hand rather than Canvas, okay. We'll try to work you up to a Canvas submission eventually, but it's totally fine. The big idea here is I want you to be exposed to the principles of HR. I want you to see the relevant in all kinds of day-to-day life activities. It's basically about relationships. There's a whole legal aspect we'll cover, and then there's this idea of how to manage people. And it cracks me up that when I talk to CEOs, business owners, the problems that are hardest for them are usually not technology problems, they're not money problems, they're not market problems. They're humans. They're human beings. And people say stuff like, "Oh, management, that's just common sense, right?" Yet you know. It's been studied since about 1907, and you would be shocked. I can just ask, like, who here has had a horrible manager? Were they all stupid? Or is there a little bit more to actually how to manage people well? I submit there is. Hopefully this course will be helpful in that, and you'll have a bit of an insight. So I'm looking forward to class. I hope you are. Should be good. You can call me at any point. You can send me an email at any point. If you email me and I don't get back to you in 48 hours, that means I didn't get it. Like you, I don't think I have Instagram. I don't know. Maybe my wife set it up. I have no idea. But I do have email. That's my little baby. So I get that often. If you email me and I don't get back to you, just give me a call. It'll come through and it'll be fine. Okay. So here we go. 6 modules. Have an absolutely awesome quarter or session, whichever we're in, and get a hold of me if you have any questions. Thank you.